Manage Comics. Coming to you from a secret underground lair, these dedicated heroes discuss the business of comics, industry news, comic book retail issues, and the latest developments from Manage Comics. They are promoters of comics, champions of small business, and four-color heroes. They are the Manage Comics team.
Welcome. It is Meanwhile at Manage Comics, and it's Thursday, May 1st. Holy, just made it under the wire here. Was putting together the presentation and the slides and everything, and just managed to literally get them uploaded as this thing started. So yeah, exciting. So I asked at the beginning, folks, let me know who's here. Joe from Revenge of. Joe, man, I'm so sad that I didn't get to see your shop this last February, but I will definitely be there next February, and I'll definitely get to your shop. So excited. We've got Stronghold Collectibles. Jason and Christina are both here. Hey, folks, how you doing? I see Jeff from Digital Heroes. Jeff, I did get to meet you in LA, and that was awesome. So yeah, we'll get to talk to you again soon. All right, this is going to be a big one. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff that we've accomplished, and I'm going to celebrate all of it today. So let's jump right in, and we've called this the road ahead with Manage Comics. You'll notice our little tarot cards in the background. Tarot cards were going to be a big marketing thing this year. We just haven't gotten around to doing it. So we have done a couple of ads around them. So yeah, for sure. We got Tony from Challenges Comics and Games. Hey, Tony, how you doing? So in the next 30 minutes, we're going to talk a little bit about where we are right now. We'll talk a little bit about what's next, some of the bumps along the way, partnerships and other opportunities, and maybe even look into the future a little bit. So let's get right at it with where we are right now. We have been busy. Since the end of October, we launched the Fan Confidence Rating with Prana Direct Market Solutions. We announced the end of life for Manage Comics 1.0, with more coming on that later. And we streamlined universal distribution integration. That was kind of the big things we did at the end of the year. We also introduced our chatbot. So if you go to our website at any point and you're on the app even, and you go to that little, there's like a question mark, or maybe it's a kind of chat thing at the bottom. You can click on that and ask Manage Comics questions in real time. And it's been trained on 150 help articles in our knowledge database, as well as 6,500 and counting tickets that were posted through Manage Comics. So if you send a ticket in to help@managecomics.com, the chatbot kind of reads those. And then as people ask questions to the chatbot, I actually augment those questions. So I go through them later, make sure it answered it right. If it didn't, I kind of redirect it. So it's getting smarter all the time. Let's see. We also added a whole bunch of quality of life enhancements, things like bolding the alternate covers on pull lists. We introduced all these pills, like ratio pills, net pricing pills. There's another one that's in the works, and I can't remember what it is, but there's a third pill that we'll be adding soon. We're trying to keep them different colors, and also trying to keep in mind color accessibility. So things like red, blue, color blindness and stuff, which is hilarious that my colors are all red, blue, or actually green and blue. We've also got Corey from Sane Comics here. We updated some stuff on feature publishers. So if you go to your publishers section on your website, the Managed Comics areas, you'll notice that now there's like 12 publishers. We did them based on FCR ratings of what are the most popular publishers overall right now. So these are our 12 kind of highlighted publishers. We have so many quote unquote other publishers right now because we have to create distributions, publisher listings for every publisher that is not Diamond, and we'll go into some of that a little bit later. But this is still very much a work in progress. I think it's better than it was because now at least you can find the big ones kind of at the top of the page, but it still has a ways to go. And I think we probably still need to do something with some of the, hundreds, which we will eventually have hundreds of other publishers. We need to just figure out a better way of displaying them all in a better way. Some of those publishers are going to have one or two products, right? So it doesn't make sense to have a whole thing with one or two products. We also did a real quick proof of concept for PDF previews. This is something I've been noodling around in my head for quite a while. And one night, Taras and I were just talking, and I was like, "Hey, you want to try something?" And we literally just like did it. And I have not had a project like that where I just went from thought to completion in an hour in so long, and it was so much fun. We're still testing what the results are, so this is only available right now on the Future Is. We do have back-end tools that will allow us to do this in other things in the future. Problem I found very quickly was that PDF previews don't really exist. There's a lot of image previews out there, and a lot of them are WebP images. So we've got to do a little bit of technology fixes to allow WebP images, which we don't currently allow. And that's a technical thing. One of our key pieces of infrastructure just doesn't support the WebP format. So that's one thing that we're going to work on. The other thing is I think that we'll probably like adjust the tool in the back end that allows us to create these guys and make it so that it can use images instead of a PDF. But yeah, it actually is pretty cool. It does a blurb, and it creates a I think it's like a page number of pages. There's an image for this, and yeah, it's all pretty slick, and it took us very little time to implement. And I'm really happy with the way it works right now, and I think it'll get better. Of course, the biggest thing we've dealt with is distributor chaos. It is the worst that data has ever been. There's so much chaos. There's been so much change. We have publishers, and I don't feel ashamed to call people like this out. American Mythology Productions are just doing weird things. They're reusing UPC codes in terrible ways. I've reached out to them a couple times, but I haven't heard back from them. It's going to affect their sales. And frankly, there's not much I can do with this without breaking everything else. So we are trying to figure out how to solve this problem, but it's really not easy. And it's a problem that they've made by not following the established rules that were put in years ago to prevent this kind of stuff from happening. And this kind of goes to Diamond's role in data. Diamond has always been the source of truth for data for years. And I have, my own problems with Diamond as an entity, but it did such a great job with this specific role. They had brand managers, and a brand manager's job was to look at all the information coming in, and they were given like Word documents that they then had to import into Excel documents so that they could get into Diamond's antiquated systems. They did an amazing job at this. They also were responsible for assigning series codes and making sure that those things were maintained properly amongst all different formats. Just explaining this stuff to the average person is really, really hard. So the fact that there was a handful of people that knew this really well. The other part about this is that Diamond's people kind of matriculated into the industry. So some people would start at Diamond and then end up at a publisher. And then that was bringing information from Diamond into that publisher. We're not seeing as much of that anymore. And, we may not see that ever again. So as that knowledge goes out of the people that are leaving the industry, we lose it from the industry. So that's where Comet comes in. So Comet is the comics industry metadata standard. So Comet is a portmanteau of comics and metadata. We created that standard 1 year ago. So we launched it February 2024. It's so hard to remember what year it is right now. It is completely launched as of 2024. We've now done 2 fairly significant updates to it. We will have a third update coming out soon around tariffs. It is being adopted by publishers and distributors. Specifically, Penguin Random House has a version of Comet in their feeds that we're testing right now. Lunar, I know, is working on this, and it's coming along, but it is taking time because as we've been working on this crazy thing, the shifting sands of the comics industry have also taken place. So things are slower than we'd like, but at the same time, the industry has never moved as fast as it is right now. So this is taking some time. I'm confident that we're going to get there. You can learn more about this at cometstandard.com. If you'd like to, there's a red link in the bottom right-hand corner. You can click on that link and join Comet. So become part of our group. We would love to have you as part of the working group for Comet. One of the big things that we realize is that a validator isn't needed. So as I mentioned about the lack of institutional knowledge, and as we leave that knowledge, as we lose that knowledge when people leave, there's no way to repopulate that knowledge. So we need to teach this at a fundamental level. And one of the ways that we think we can do that is by creating a simple validator that publishers will put their information into originally, which will flag things like, hey, you've reused this UPC code, or hey, just so you know, you have 5 of the same cover letters in your issue sequence, or you're saying that this is this series, but your UPC indicates a totally different series. So all this stuff is super, super important, and it's not things that is easy to teach. So what we're hoping is we can create this validator and start getting some of that institutional knowledge at the highest level. So at the lowest level, which is really where it needs to be. It doesn't need to be at the president level, because when presidents leave, they take that knowledge with them. And we saw this with one company where their very, very metadata interested head of the company left, and their metadata became bad really, really quickly. And it's not their fault. I just don't think everyone knows, to be honest. Let's talk a little bit about marketing. We've done some really cool marketing things. So if you saw Zdarsky Comics News number 8, you would have seen this ad. That ad goes to one of our pages. And then in Zdarsky Comics News number 9, you would see this ad. At Comics Pro, we bid on an ad in Rekka's The Future Is, which is one of the reasons why we use this as targeted as our test thing, because we've talked to these folks and we know that they would be cool with us using their PDFs without, formal written approval from the president of the company. These guys are fairly small, and it was easy to get approval. So you will see the Subscribotrons ad in that. This is, by the way, the first time that we've officially shown this ad outside of the Rekka folks. So you can definitely, you'll enjoy the ad. The idea of the ad is also to tell customers about Managed Comics and get them to convince their stores to move to Managed Comics. So that is definitely out there and will be seen very soon. Currently in QA. And before we get there, I'm gonna pop in here and we're gonna take a look at some of the things that have come by. So we have amazing. By the way, I think this was about our PDF stuff. Oh no, I think it was about the pull list things. Stronghold, Jason, you asked about unlockables. That would be a good idea. Yeah, we should probably have a pill for retailer sales tools too. Nice use of turquoise, Dan says. I love turquoise. It's such a good pop. There we go. The pills have been amazing. Everybody loves pills, right? That diamond doesn't shine as bright as it used to. So true. Pill idea bundle. That's a great idea. Yeah, especially on the the initial and FOC orders. Could you format that preview to print with a barcode label? I would like to do a larger sticker with all that info. Corey, can you let me know which preview you're talking about? And I'll look into that. Lobby whoever buys Diamond to use comment. So if it's universal, I think we're in good shape because I'm actually working with Alessandro right now on converting their data into Comet. So I think we should be good if it's universal. I have had some brief talks with Alliance, and honestly, I'd just like to get Alliance's data. I'm talking to a lot of folks about data right now and getting data into our system. Corey says you can try to reach out to Anthology on IG. Oh, American Mythology Productions. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Honestly, the PDF preview getting a barcode label. Yeah, we'll take a look at that. And Stronghold says Rekka is great. Yeah, I really like them. They're good folks. All right, let's jump back into where we are right now. So currently in QA, the most awaited feature for a long time, what are we calling it now? Multi-location settings. So this will allow one Manage Comics and one Shopify to have multiple locations. So you can have up to 10 locations in a Shopify unless you're on Shopify Plus, at which point I think you can have 200 locations. This will support up to 200 locations. So yeah, we had to build it as big as we could and then kind of scale back for the smallest we could. It involved rewriting pretty much every piece of the application from the ground up. And that means that the testing is going to be ridiculous. So next step is obviously lots of testing. We will have to test every piece of Managed Comics. It's a large application, has lots of pieces. We also have to make sure this all works with the order helper and all that good stuff as well. So just one little note, you'll see like the top is red here and then the top is blue here. So each location has a different colored header. By default, we just kind of assign them a random color so that no two colors are the same. And then, yeah, we keep on varying those headers so that they're always unique. The next stage will be our test plan. So I've been working on a test plan all week, and I'm hoping to have it done by the end of this week. We have to create a testing matrix. We have to streamline our fixes stuff so that the fixes can go in very quickly and get updated, because I can't have our testers waiting around for stuff to get done. So the big question is always, when will this launch? We're going to test this for 2 weeks. So I don't knock on wood, but I don't anticipate there being too many problems. We did kind of some pre-testing before QA. So hopefully everything kind of works its way through. Our launch windows are tiny. We can only launch things on Thursdays and Fridays. If we try and launch them on a Monday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday, it's chaos. Weekends are just bad because that means that I have to bring in all my staff on a weekend. So that is a little tricky. So for sure, Thursdays and Fridays are clear. So our first launch window will be Thursday, May 22nd, and our second launch window right after that would be Thursday, May 29th. So our goal is to hit the 22nd. We will have a go or no go by the 19th. So if by Monday, May 19th, we are not go, we'll just let everybody know. So if you go to the Facebook group, we will be putting updates there on whether or not we're going or not going. Just one quick thing about multi-store, and I'd hoped to do like a multi-store demo today, but Taras and I were going through it last night, and we found a couple kind of 505-ish, 500 error bugs where you'd click a certain thing and just the thing would die. And that's just not a great first impression. So I decided to hold off on that. Things are working. And we know the bugs, a lot of the time, these bugs are just like, oops, we didn't merge things in properly. So the first like day or two of bug fixes are going to be us finding merge fixes and solving those. So, it's a big application. It takes a while to do all this stuff. Um, by the way, I didn't shout out my buddy Dan Shaheen. Dan, it's good to see you here. Dan, for those who don't know, has been running oh man, Dan, the name totally escapes me right now. He's had a YouTube channel for ages. I loved it. And it's one of the first places that I got to do YouTube live because I was on his show a couple times. I'm a big fan of Dan, and I'm so happy to see him here. So let's jump into the roadmap. I'll be honest, roadmap.managedcomics.com is kind of a mess. I haven't done very much work on the roadmap itself in ages, and they changed the software. It used to be called Leanbee, and now it's called productmix.com. They changed a bunch of things on it, and I just realized that things like ideas aren't getting visible. So when somebody adds a new idea, it used to just float up, but it doesn't. And I heard from somebody that there hasn't been an idea since like 2023 on there, like a new idea since 2023, which is crazy because there's at least a dozen new ideas in the pipeline that I just need to figure out how to make them visible. I just don't know. So yeah, I'm going to be working to clean the roadmap up. There's some stuff that we're going to readjust the prioritization on kind of going forward. One of them is pre-order payments, which I think we're going to ramp up a little bit. One of them is publisher tools, which I think we're going to move down a little bit. And I'm just trying to see if I can see back issues will probably move down a little bit because it's going to be, so we've decided to make that kind of a full product unto itself. And part of that is getting all the back issue data into comic compliance, which is going to be a whole project in and of itself. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff on there that we'll tweak. We may even drop some stuff off, but we'll put it into kind of the backlog so that people can see where that is. What's up right now? So we'll be doing some quality of life things. So if there's something that annoys you, let us know. And we just send an email to help@managedcomics.com or file a report on the roadmap because I'm going to be looking at it really closely. So if there's something that you'd love to see, I saw a couple ideas here in the chat. There was, what was it? Oh, there was a really good one. Those pills, that would be cool. I don't now that I think about it, I don't know if we have the data to show that something is but it is in Comet. That would be cool. So that would be a good one. If you have other things, unlockable pills, that'd be cool. Pop pill ideas in. Pop pill ideas. That's great. If there's anything else like that, that would be terrific. Let us know. I see another from Superpowers is the weights. Yeah, I'd love to get the weights right. Weights don't come in our data, believe it or not. It comes in, if you go to Diamond's website, you'll find it. If you go to Penguin Random House's website, you'll find it. If you go to the actual things that they deliver to us, they are not included. So we have been working with them for a while to get weights. Joe has a potentially silly question. Would it be possible to add a volume or a year to the title tags? For example, Amazing Spider-Man. Oh, to the title tag. Yeah, for sure, Joe. That totally makes sense. Joe, can you fire me a help ticket? I can get that done today. That totally makes sense. I hadn't even thought of that. We're probably not pulling that in. If you look at Managed Comics, we actually display it because we have if you're on like the future is, it'll say brackets 2024. Yeah, we can get that in fairly quickly. All right, where was I here? So yeah, quality of life is the stuff that we want to talk about. The order helper. What is the future of the order helper? If I had a crystal ball, I would say the future looks grim. Shopify doesn't support the way that that app is built anymore. They've moved to something called POS app extensions. So for us to rebuild this, what we would actually have to do is build it as part of Managed Comics. Taras and I have talked about what that looks like. And in those conversations, we have said it might be a good time to totally retire the order helper. And we will give you plenty of notice before we do this. But I don't know that it makes sense as a standalone app right now. It is taking us a lot of effort just to keep that thing running sometimes. Shopify changes things so quickly, and that is such critical infrastructure that we really should have a dedicated team working on that thing. The thing is, it's a free app, and I can't afford to put a dedicated team working on that app. There are solutions out there like Bento SMB, and I think my next slide might actually be about that. Um, because we've added the ability for you to create invoices without generating create orders without generating invoices and sending people emails, it may make more sense to do something like this where you use a draft order helper instead of the managed comics order helper, and then we build a tool within managed comics itself that can be opened up in the draft order in the order POS front end, which will allow you to do things like move things back into a cart or things like that, or take things out of not a cart, out of somebody's order. Some of this stuff really needs to be thought through, but personally, okay, my mic's still working. I clicked too many buttons there, and I ended up pulling myself out of the stream myself. So yeah, Christina says, "Boom, dedicated team." The problem is we need 200 people at $10 a month to dedicate a team to it, because even that is not enough, honestly. If we did our own draft order helper, it would really be to try and get a wider Shopify audience, and then it brings a whole new support problem. But getting back to the order helper, yeah, I think it may just make more sense. And like I said, this is not something we're going to turn off tomorrow. I'm worried that things are getting a little bit out of sync with the way that Shopify has done stuff with POS apps. So Taras and I literally started talking about this last night. So this is not by any means a done decision, but we do need to start thinking about the future of the order helper. Yeah, and I think this app is actually really good. I've been using it myself, doing a bunch of testing on it, and it seems to be working very well. The other thing, I'm going to try and pull there. I didn't turn myself off this time. A next or back button on the FOC order page. At present, the customer has to remember the next page to click on. Yeah, for sure. We've actually talked about redoing the, what is that called? Like the page navigation at the bottom of all of the pages. I know exactly what you're talking about, Marty. For sure. So we've done a bunch of different partnerships. We have a partnership with Lightspeed. And so this is kind of where some of these ideas around Order Helper are coming from. As we add these partners, they're going to be using things in a different way. And with Lightspeed, we don't have to maintain a separate app. We're just going to have to maintain a connection to Lightspeed. That's kind of the way that we need to do things going forward. At some point, I think we need to be app agnostic. And if we think to the far future and Managed Comics 3.0, which, I mean, I'm not ready to announce anything today, but I can see a world where we would have a standalone app that has offshoots to all these other things and uses APIs to talk to Shopify or Lightspeed or BinderPause or whatever other app that's out there. So, yeah, this is why, because our partnership with Lightspeed, they want to sell managed comics into stores. They already have like 70 comic stores that are using Lightspeed, who it just makes a no-brainer to get them to use managed comics. So we are going to be working on the ability to import products into Lightspeed, and this will be fairly soon. Like within the next couple of weeks, we're going to start this thing. We don't think it's more than 2 weeks worth of work. So yeah, it will allow for imports of products into Lightspeed, and it will allow Lightspeed to see Shopify draft orders, which will then mean that Lightspeed can bring the draft orders in and update them, and then Managed Comics will maintain the connection to that draft order. If something gets put back in a cart, it would become a Managed Comics pull at that point, and then we can just kind of deal with that as we have to. That would mean that we would also tweak some things on the Shopify POS side of the fence too, so that you could do different things with things that get put back in the cart. Because right now you have to remember to go back into to Manage Comics and adjust that, and some people don't remember that. So that is one of them. Our next partnership that we're working with is a company called SortSwift. So they are a TCG POS system similar to BinderPause. They're being maintained very, very aggressively. They have more catalog things, I believe, than anybody else out there. They've got everything like obviously Lorcana and the Star Wars Unlimited stuff, like so much stuff. So really, really good. I love working with Micah and the team there. They are working on integration points with us, and I think we'll have something really exciting to announce soon. And we're going to do like a big press release and news release and all that good stuff as well. So SortSwift, if you're currently on BinderPause and you're not happy with support or whatever, just give these guys a shout and let them know that Managed Comics sent you, because it's a new partnership and it's always nice to see how those partnerships progress. We're working pretty heavily with Prana Direct Market Solutions, specifically Adam Freeman, on a number of projects. The FCR, or fan confidence rating, is rapidly improving. My long-term goal will be to get some of those numbers into Managed Comics so that you guys can actually see that this is a rising or not as popular title as what we assumed. So we want to be able to predict the next absolute Spider-Man, or sorry, Ultimate Spider-Man, or the next we're taking everybody down with us, and be able to see that these things are on the rise and that maybe you need to update your orders, and conversely show you that stuff isn't being widely adopted by fans. So if there's something that has a lot of hype but nobody cares, we should also let you know about that kind of stuff. Adam is great, and what they're doing is great for all retailers. I love it. Atlanta Sci-Fi Expo, Lightspeed has been asking me to switch them, but I just switched to Shopify. Yeah, and you can do both too, right? Like Shopify will work with Lightspeed. It's just the Shopify POS. But if you already have the hardware for Shopify, a lot of that hardware is going to work with both. So it really depends on what makes the most sense for you. One more fun thing. So we've been talking to the guys at Sweet.dev about Find Your Comic Store. So it's findyourcomic.store. It's a listing of comic stores. They're all self-reported, so they've seeded it with something. But people are getting ready for a world where, what is it called? Comic Shop Locator Service, which I like to call as Google Lite. It doesn't exist. But what I think they've done really, really well is you can add different things like events, so store events. You can add your website. They also have these icons. So you'll notice there's a Managed Comics icon. So you can pick the things that are important to your store. And yeah, we're just kind of started working with them. But you can go to findyourcomic.store right now, enter your city or zip code, find your shop, and claim your listing. And I'll tell you, secretly behind the scenes, there's another one of these that's being worked on. I know the people that are behind that one really well. I am pretty sure I'm not allowed to say anything about where it is or anything, but very soon there'll be an announcement about that, and we are going to integrate with that one as well. So ideally, when you sign up with Managed Comics, and when we launch location stuff, you'll probably be prompted to go through the steps again, because that's just the way Shopify is. When we change, any kind of permission based stuff, they require us to re-request a bunch of things. So you will most likely get the opportunity to enter in some information about your store. And I think there's going to be an option for us to send that to these other places as well. So it'll be like opt-in, where you'll have to say, would you like to send this to Find Your Comic Store and the other one that I can't mention yet. So yeah, that's super fun. Earth 519, by the way, if you notice this, is my new online comic store. We're online only right now because I'm trying to find brick and mortar space, but holy mackerel, is it ever hard to find brick and mortar space in my town. I was quoted $10,000 for a month for a 700 square foot place. And I said, yeah, no, thank you. I can't do that. So you will probably hear more about Earth 519. I think one of the reasons that we've had some of the upgrades we've had is because as I'm actually using our tools and seeing, little places we can tweak. An example is the bolding on alternate titles. My kids help me do the pulls, and a lot of the times I just let them do the pulls. My kids are 16 and 19, so they're not really kids anymore. But they'll do the actual pulls. By the way, I was 16 when I worked at my first comic store, so it's kind of hereditary. As they're doing the pulls, I was noticing that they were screwing up the B covers, and the nice thing is we do a final check at the end. So if there's too many A covers, we know, oops, we got to go back and adjust. Look through the list, and we see that Bob Smith is supposed to get a B cover and not an A cover. So then we adjust it, and our customers actually get the right things. Just adding that bold improved their error rates or decreased their error rates by a large margin. So that was really good. The pills were a request from a lot of customers, but as I started looking at the data, it's just like it was impossible to find stuff like that. So just doing little things like that are going to be big helps. I think one of the things I want to look at is like a way to be able to identify when you qualify for ratio variance and stuff, and like make that a little more obvious. But there's going to be a lot of things that I'm seeing every week. And now that I'm seeing those things, I'm hoping that I can, by owning a store and seeing this stuff, I can help make the whole application better. Anybody get any questions or shout outs or suggestions, any of those things? We will definitely answer those right now before I go to the last little segment. We're a little long. I like to keep these things a tight 30, but it looks like we're at 45 minutes right now. Stronghold says Adam is great, and what they are doing is great for all retailers. I agree. I love Adam. He's become a really good friend of mine, and I spend a couple hours with him every single week. Love more resources. Christina, I'm not sure what you mean, but I love it. I love the enthusiasm. If you have more questions, let's get them in, because I will be here for a little bit. I want to go through a couple more things. So every week you can see me on Comics Industry Insiders Live every Tuesday at 2 p.m. We're 9 episodes in. 5 of those have been about the Diamond bankruptcy. Our next episode is going to be about the first quarter sales, some of the really positive things that we've heard from retailers. I don't know about you guys, but I've had a great first quarter. This is my first quarter, mind you. But comparing it to where my partner Pete was, it's surprisingly good. We lost about a half dozen customers in the transition, but I'm not really noticing a loss in sales. So that is good. That means that the remaining, 128 customers that I have picked up the slack of those 6. So that's great. I think we're going to see more of this. things like the Absolute line have been such a boon for stores. Yeah, 23. That's amazing. I love to hear that, and I hope that this kind of stuff continues. Um, so many brand new young customers. Yeah, I've seen the same things. Yeah, that's awesome. April was our biggest month ever. Man, that's amazing. Yeah, it's so good to see. I'm so happy about that. So that's awesome. Thanks, Jeff. Christina, I'm going to bring that up at the very, very end. I like what you're saying there. The other place you can hear me is the Data Bros. It's a podcast about running a modern comic shop. We are, I don't even know anymore. We're 2 seasons in. It's a weekly podcast. Last week was about Toy Boat, and this week is going to be about running a new shop. So, I accidentally started a shop. We'll talk about that for sure. The other the upcoming episode is going to be on Comet. We got a couple others kind of in the pipeline right now. So yeah, it's a good time. It's available anywhere that you can find podcasts, and you can also look for it online at Data Bros Inc. I'm also doing bi-weekly webinars. So every other Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time, you can join us for a webinar. It's mainly focused for new folks, people who haven't, have questions about how to use Manage Comics. If you're an existing store and you have questions, let me know. I can schedule like a quick 15-minute meeting and we can go over stuff. Happy to do that for sure. I think that is going to do it for this week. I want to thank everybody for being here. I'm going to show Christina's comment here, which was, I would like new customer application for approval to make sure we get necessary information. Totally agree. That is on my pipeline. As I said, like running a shop now, I see the need for things like that. And I should have known that was necessary before. But honestly, people didn't complain about it. And when folks don't complain, we don't know that there's a problem, right? And I shouldn't even say complaint is such a negative word, and it's not complaints. It's like, I need people to give us feedback, to tell us what could be better. There's 1,000 things we could do, and there's 1,000 things that I will do that nobody really wants us to do necessarily, but they just need to get done. Right. Things like international. Nobody was asking for international except for the stores that weren't with us who were asking for international. Location. That's not true. There's probably about a half dozen stores that we have right now who are looking for multi-location. So, those things though aren't necessarily hitting every single store. Doing a thing like the pills does affect every store, and that's the stuff I love to do. Did you get an answer from Shopify about their lack of scanner options on POS? I don't know if there is an answer, Marty. That's more that there's limitations with iOS and how, because iOS requires a secure Blue Link connection, and there's only a handful of scanners that will work with that. Now, that said, the other reason is probably for support, because the fewer options you support, the easier those support scripts are, especially like Shopify's $100 billion company. I imagine they've got, I don't know the exact number, but it's got to be millions of stores. So yeah, I 1000% agree with you. I've been using the scanner at shows. So whenever I do like a convention, I use the scanner. I hate that thing, man. It crapped out on me 8 times in a 4-hour window on Sunday, and it made me so angry. At one point I just started taking pictures of things and then just entering them in afterwards, and I realized that isn't an option at the store. That might be why an option like Lightspeed might make more sense. Or if you do TCGs, take a look at SwordSwift. Their POS is available. It's a web-based POS, and they can use all kinds of different hardware. Going forward, we're looking at other partners. We've got a call. I have a call with Grindless in 10 minutes. So we've talked to them. There's a couple other POS vendors we've talked to. So, it doesn't have to be just Shopify's POS. There's other options out there. I think comes for the So you can support UPC +5 codes, Marty. If you go to our help site, I'll actually show that to you right now. Just give me 1 second to change my presentations. Here we go. So you should be seeing, no, not that one. You got to see that one. There we go. So that's our help site. If you just type in socket scan, there's actually a tip on how to read the UPC +5. The best solution I've seen is to print this out. For some reason, it won't really scan on a screen. But if you follow these instructions, print this out and try and use this, that will actually fix your scanner so that you can read the UPC +5. So hopefully that helps you out. All right, folks, I think that's going to do it for this week. If you have any other questions, you can always reach out to us at help@managedcomics.com. Like I said, we're doing biweekly webinars. So if you go to managedcomics.com/webinar, you'll see our next webinar. It's the 15th, I believe. Because we're kind of putting this in place of our current weekly, biweekly. I may start doing them weekly depending on the amount of requests I get for them. But yeah, that's going to do it for this week. If you have any questions, you know where to get us. Thanks so much for your time, and we will see you real soon.